Hello, hi, welcome. I'm Julia. Today's movement practice is a mashup, so we're doing some mobility work as well as yoga. It will be mindful, as in moderate pace. So we're going to be paying attention to some detail, which is drawing from my yoga background, but we also have some nice mobility challenge work where we're going to be doing some repetitive motions. So you'll see a lot of nice joint mobilization done dynamically, as well as a lot of nice internal exploration that's done statically. What you may need is a surface that is amenable. So I'm outside today. I'm going to use a blanket. If you're indoors, of course, a yoga mat would be perfect, or any surface that you would regularly normally do yoga on is also ideal for your dynamic mobility practice. So it will be perfect for today. Also, one thing you might like is a yoga block. If you do not have a yoga block, I only really use it once, twice, maybe three times for a little bit of elevation and support. So you could use any other object that you have around. It might be nice to have a couple of sturdy pillows, like not too fluffy, but kind of stiff pillows. Also, a few stacks of blankets or some books would serve perfectly well in the place of the block. Again, you may not even need it. We don't use it too heavily in this practice. All right, so I will see you for the practice. Please join me on the mat in just a moment. Okay, we're ready to begin. Let's start by coming into child's pose. So as you make your way down, have the knees about shoulder distance. You can even go a little wider at this stage if you'd like. Take your time to work your hips back so you feel for the opening of the front of the ankle joint as you point your feet. You feel for the deep bend of your knee joints as you sandwich your hamstrings and your calves together. And you feel for the deep creases at the fronts of your hip joints as you bring your belly in between your inner legs and you bring your front ribs to your front thighs. Stretching your arms forward allows you to press more weight back into your lower body. So using the arms as levers, reach forward with the length of your arms and press with your hands to move your hips deeper into that hip crease bend, into that knee crease bend, into the ankle opening. And take just a few more moments to center yourself, preparing for movement today. Enjoying that opposition, those balanced, complementary, energetic actions of arms lengthening, reaching and pushing, and lower body deeply folding into itself, getting tight and tiny. And take just 2 to 3 more breaths, basking in that pair of expansion and contraction, of length and fold. Good. And we're going to rise up and guide ourselves into a little low squat. So leaning forward onto your hands to assist yourself, move your knees and your big toes together. And then again, using your hands, arms forward as an oppositional action, rock into your low squat. So in this particular low squat, we're going to have inner ankles, inner big toes, inner feet together, really gluing the inner feet and inner heels together. And then continue to allow your arms forward, but your knees wide. So it's super similar to the dynamic of child pose, the shape of child pose. in that we've got some length in the upper body, which is assisting us to deeply fold the lower body. And we're just going to take another moment here. And still with your arms forward so that you give yourself some assistance. Rock forward with your knees and place your knees down. So you've still got your toes curled under. We're really starting to open up the toe joints and the soft tissues on the bottoms of your feet. Hug your inner feet together, just as we did a moment ago, and sit on up. So we're here in the big toe sit, finding some length through the spinal column. And just noticing, can you come into neutral with your spine in this moment? So neutral through the low back, long up through the length of your mid and upper back, and then placing your head right on top. Just another moment to be here in your big toe sit. We're going to be working a lot with this big toe position in this first opening segment. So we just want to make sure the toes are super ready for that movement. Okay, so again, using your hands, rock back and come into your low squat. Let your heels drop. Walk your hands forward and extend your spine. Even dropping your head to let your chin tuck a bit. And then walk your hands in, lower your knees down, and come up to your toe sit. Good, that same pace 2 more times. So we start nice and easy, acclimating, and then we can pick up the pace as things progress, but just working here at this pace for a few more moments. Let's lower the knees and come into the toe sit. All the while hugging inner heels together. And then back again, low squat. Here, attempting to drop heels to the ground. Good, forward into your toe sit. And now very same movements, nothing different, but let's go just a little more quickly. So rocking back into your squat, rocking forward into your toe sit. And as we go here with a little more of a pace, you can keep your hands down the whole time, or you can start when you're in your low squat to lift your hands up. And if you feel pretty confident with that, you can start now to try a few of these without hands at all. And when you take your hands away, your upper body becomes more upright. So you do continue here, rocking forward and back from the same actions of your feet and ankles that we've seen already. But the upper body has to accommodate all of that. So you'll be shifting your upper body forward and backward. You can swim your arms if that feels natural. For me, that just tends to happen. So I let it happen. We're staying rather informal with the movement pattern today. Or excuse me, rather informal with the attitude towards these movement patterns today. So you might start to feel some heat or some cramping coming into your feet and your lower legs. That's totally normal. Do just a few more like this. What that means is we are waking everything up. We're waking up all of those motor units. So the nervous system is really waking up, all those nerves, and also the muscular system, all those muscles and tissues. Good. Last 3. We're going to have a little rest. 2. One more time to rock. And 1. Okay, let's come forward to hands and knees. Untuck your feet. That should feel like a grand relief. Set your hands underneath your shoulders. And then a pretty neutral spine. Just tap out the tops of your feet. Give it a nice drum here. Just a few more like that. And then pause in your all fours position, working from your upper back without moving your pelvis as best you can. Round your upper back and dome. Create space between the shoulder blades. You can allow your head to drop. And then the opposite, so move your shoulder blades together. And your head can still hang here a bit. We don't have to do anything special with the head and neck, just let them follow along. And then again, shoulder blades apart, pause, and shoulder blades together. So it's not cat and cow, it's a bit different than cat and cow. We're really focusing on the shoulder blades gliding laterally. So do a few more little quicker. Press apart, pull together. Press apart, pull together. Press and pull. Keep going with this, just a few more. Good. Last 3, last 2, last 1. All right, move your knees together, insides of feet together, curl your toes under. You might know where this is going. we're not quite done with those big toe sits. So as you rock back, lift your knees, pop your knees up, reach your hips back, low squat. Take a moment here. Let your heels drop as much as possible, but keep the oppositional reach of your arms and your hands forward. Any comfortable position for head and neck. Just stretch your hips and your hands apart from each other. Okay, and then bring the knees down and come into your big toe sit. Again, inner heels, inner ankles together. Now working a bit more with a classic cat-cow through the spine. As you pull your elbows back, chest forward, little arch in your low back, and you're tilting your pelvis. And then as you exhale, round. So adding to what we just did on hands and knees, we do now full spinal column arches and tucks. So going back and forth, one to the next, cats and cows. Be sure here to include the tilt and the tuck of your pelvis. So when we arch, tailbone goes back behind us. When we tuck, pulling the buttock flesh forward towards the backs of the knees. So you untuck your bum and then you super duper extra mega tuck your bum. And do that 3 more times. Again, the arms are just along for the ride. Let them do whatever they want to do. Back towards neutral. Rocking back into your low squat. You can use your hands or not. There. Take a moment, low squat. And for this low squat, instead of reaching straight forward, bend your elbows, drop your elbows, drop your head. So arms are a little closer to you, elbows are bent, and if available, place your forearms on the ground. And then again, see if the heels can drop to or towards the floor, to or towards the ground, whatever is beneath you. Bring your hands to lace behind your head. And then tuck your chin, curl the entirety of your spine. And aim your head. You're not pulling on it. You're just assisting with your hands. But aim your head to the ground. So you're aiming your heels down and your head down. And if you have the mobilities in your ankles and your spine, you might actually get both to the floor. You might get your head and your heels to the ground. But if that's not materializing, which it does not in my body, owing to my structural makeup and my physiological history, like that's not happening for me, at least not today. I'm working towards it. So I'm just getting as near to it as I can. Tight little ball. One more breath. Super. Okay. So now hands to the ground. Zip your legs up together and forward fold. So we come into a narrow forward bend, feet together, legs together. And hands can be to the ground supporting you. Take a moment here might be the first time you've straightened your legs in a while, or possibly in this fashion, the first time you've done a straight leg forward fold all day. So give it a moment. Let your head relax. And then let's step the feet apart so you can go hip width or shoulder width. I'm going to go shoulder width, give it a little more space. And into that space, you're able to tilt your pelvis. Remember when we tilt, the tailbone goes up and back. And then bring your hands again behind your head, lacing, and curl your chin towards your chest. And we don't, as before, have to be like overly assertive with it. It's really just the hands and arms are really just indicating the direction of intention. So we're not using force here or much muscle efforts is another way to phrase it, but you're intending your chin towards your chest, your elbows towards your shins. Crown of head faces the ground. Take another breath. Good, fingertips to the ground. And let's keep the feet apart, and you can adjust the distance between your feet at any time. Okay, start to sit your hips back, lower yourself down very mindfully, come all the way down. So just to be mindful of the knees is what I mean there. And sit to your depth of squat. Bring your hands together. And the hands don't have to come up pristinely into a prayer. You might curl your fingertips and press your fingertips together. You might turn your hands and just hold your own hand. You might do fist to fist, but make contact, make some form of contact between your hands so that you can push them against each other, and you can use that to help widen your elbows, which helps you to widen your knees. Excellent. Release, forward fold again. So what I'm going to attempt is to fix and fuss with my feet as little as possible. So there will be some small changes, but I'm attempting to keep the feet more or less in one spot as I go up and down. So let's sit into the squat. This time, instead of hands together, reach your arms forward. And then fold and lift your hips up. Take that again. Squat and hinge. I'm going to try no hands now. So reaching forward in the squat. And then just wrap behind the lower legs, hinge. Reach again, squat. And wrap again, hinge. Good, keep going. Do about 1 more minute in your own way, at your own pace. You might speed this up. You might go even slower and slow it down. You might choose to go back to using your hands, or you might stay with no hands. You might linger in one of these positions, or you might just keep it moving. So really, it is up to you. We still have about 30 more seconds, just working between squat and forward fold. Awakening and mobilizing the body. Good, finishing with one more of your own interpretation. So whatever you're doing, just give yourself one final round, one final repetition of those two things. And then we're going to return to big toe sit. So walk the insides of your feet together, guide yourself down. You know it well. So just come back to sit upright in your big toe sit. From here, some side bending. So we'll take one arm up into the air. Does not matter which, because we'll do both. So choose one arm up in the air, and then side bend, take your other fingers to the ground. Rising up and switching. So you'll offset a bit with your hips. It's not a big hip swing to the side, just a little weight shift. Good, side to side you go. Do a few more. Just opening up there through low back, side waist, and outer shoulder. And of course, we don't even really need to put words to it because I think it's super obvious, but also opening the feet. Still with the feet there. Last time. Good. Now go to whatever your first side was. Again, doesn't really matter. And hold pause. And again, we will get the other side in just a moment. So choose your right or your left and just stay there. Breathe a few breaths. Still in side bend, take your top hand behind your head. And then press your head back into your hand. Roll your elbow back. Roll your chest up towards the ceiling or the sky, whatever's there. And notice how much weight is tipping to one foot or perhaps the other. And then try to center your weight. Obviously, you won't be able to fully do that. That's not the physics of this position, but do your best to shift your hips back in the opposite direction of your side bend. And then re-lengthen top arm, big reach, and rise up. Ooh, a moment, hands on legs, sit nice and tall. Switching sides. Second side, hand down, arm up. Nice and tall. Breathe into it as you open. Good, staying here, bend your top elbow. Cradle behind your head. Press your head into your hand. Elbow goes back. Chest starts to roll open, leaning back a little bit. And then can you center your weight as best as possible over both feet by shifting your hips in opposition to the side bend. So that will actually increase the opening as the hips go slightly away from the shoulders. Good, another breath. Stay here, reach the top arm straight, again, in side bend. And then rise back up. Ooh, untuck your toes and sit back in kneeling. Take a moment there, pointed feet. Into this position with your pointed feet and your knees together. Walk your hands back behind you, roll your shoulders back, lean back. Lift your hips for just a moment and do that tailbone tuck and that buttock scoop, like tuck, 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 like crazy, as hard as you can, and then put your hips back down. So ideally what we accomplished with that action and with that manipulation was to flatten out, open up the front of the hips. So that's going to give us more length into the fronts of the thighs and the front of the pelvis. Good, another moment there or here, another moment here. Still leaning back, lift one knee. And it doesn't have to go far. It probably will not go far. Big stretch on the top of the ankle there, the top of the foot. Good, put that down, other side, lift the knee, and give focus mainly to the front of the foot and the top of the ankle. Good, and then just go side to side, once or twice more. We don't have to do a lot of this one, just a little bit there. And then see how it might be to lift both knees. Don't have to go high. See how it might go. If you need more space, just walk your hands back more. If you're feeling really good about it, check this out. You can actually walk your hands in. And as you come more upright, you can bring your hands on your knees. So then it's a little bit of a balance. But really depends on how your feet and ankles are responding to this invitation. Okay, so release, come back down. Let's come to table again. We've seen table once, but let's see it again. We focused on the upper back last time, and here let's do just a conventional cat and cow. So rounding as you breathe out and arching as you breathe in. And same, let's continue at our own pace. Everybody's so individual with their breathing, of course, and do about a minute. You can close your eyes if you enjoy doing that, just focusing inward. We're going to be moving in a moment into a series that's a bit more focused on the hips. It's always super nice to start with the feet and ankles before you approach the hips, just because there's such deep connective tissue relationships between those body parts and between all those joints and the movement patterns that they express in your motion. But I think we've done a pretty thorough job. So we're going to say that the feet, the ankles are all good, and we can start to approach those hips. All right, let's sit back in child pose for a moment. Much like our first child pose, stretch the arms forward, stretch the hips back, lengthen yourself. Rising up. We're going to be working from table. We're going to start with bent knee circles. We'll do 7 in one direction, and then 7 in the other, then 5 and 5 and 3 and 3, and this is all on the same leg. So let's do it like this. Take your left knee forward towards your chest, circle out towards your armpits and around, and you can extend at the back. So that was 1, circle under, extend, 2, circle, extend, 3. Good. Keep going this pace. 4, 5, 6, 7. Now bring the knee around from the outside and straighten it underneath you for 7 and around, 6 and around, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Pull forward again. Let's go to the outside for 5. Straighten at the back. 4. So this is that first direction again. 3, 2, 1 more. 1. Now 5 times. Come around the outside and then straight down the middle. 5, 4, 3, 2, and 1. Now 3 times original direction. 3, extend, 2, extend, 3, or 1, excuse me, and then come around the outside for 3, and 2, and 1. Now extend the legs straight back. We're not done yet. Extend the legs straight back, and then bend the knee and tap same elbow, and then go over opposite elbow, and then back to same elbow and extend. So let's do that again. Tuck same arm, other arm, same arm, and extend. That's 2, same, other, same. So you're actually making contact, touching, leg to arm, to arm, to arm. 4. Keep breathing. 5. We're going to do 5 more. Same, other, same, extend. 6. Here we go. 7. Squeeze, squeeze. 8. 9. And go one more time. Tap, tap, tap. 10. Leg is straight back. Pause. And now as you bring the knee towards you, cross it over. So you've got that extended leg in front, right? And you've got a crisscross, like a twist tie of your legs. You can take your feet a little bit wider. You don't have to squeeze your heels towards each other here. And then walk your hands forwards. This is like a puppy stretch. So instead of sitting back into the hip opener, which we often do, here we're going to walk the hands forward, let the chest and the head melt down as the hips stay high. And if you feel the need for a little more space, you can always walk your knees back a little more. And just take a few breaths here into this puppy variation of Gomukhasana, the cow face pose. One more breath. And let's try it as you rise up as more of a child pose. So walking your hips or sitting your hips back, walking your hands just to accommodate that. And of course, it really looks nothing and in a lot of ways feels nothing like child pose. But go for the qualities of child pose that we identified in the beginning today. So you're sitting your hips heavily back. You've got all these crazy, awesome folds of your legs, and you're trying to deepen into those folds to get tight and tiny. But then the upper body offers an oppositional quality. So you've still got to reach through the arms, some pressure through that reach to sit more weight backwards. Good. And you might actually have your bum on a foot or your bum on the floor. That's great if that happens. Good for you. Enjoy. Okay. From here, come back forward, more towards table. We're going to undo. And not done with that side yet, but unravel and bent knee in your table. Take your bent knee and extend that leg back behind you. So now as you bend the knee underneath, it's just one little tuck, like chin towards chest. And then extend your leg back behind you, swing it out to the side. Let's do that again. So behind you and then tuck. Extend and swing for 2. Behind you, tuck. Swing 3. Tuck. Swing 4. We're going to 10. Tuck. Swing 5. When you swing to the side, go as high as you can with that leg. 6. I know it's hard. 7. You just do your best. As always, right? 8. 9. One more. That's 10. Take the legs straight back behind you. Pause. Tuck it up underneath you. Swing it under and around. So again, you're coming into Gomukhasana with your legs. And this is where you might like to use your block or pillows, whatever you're using today to sit on, because we are going to sit up for this one. So take a moment and arrange your seat. And just sit tall through your spine. There's a lot on that one leg, on that one side. So just give yourself a moment to settle in. Working with the arms now. So you're keeping your same seat. Whatever leg is on top, we're going to take that arm across the body first. So again, coordinating with whatever your top leg is, take that arm across, give it a hug in. We're just going to stay a moment here, and then we're going to work with a little movement pattern. So now you just kind of back partway out of that and follow the pattern. So the arm that was on top a moment ago it's still on top here, although that's not vitally important. I think it will make sense as we get into it. Hold opposite elbows, and then take this box up over your head. Pause, sit taller, reach up through your elbows, and then extend the arms out to the side. Same arm pulls across. Let's try that one more time on this side, and then box and release. Third time on this side, and then we're going to switch arms. Okay, so now take the other arm in front, pause, breathe. Just opening the rear shoulder, the upper back, as well as the lateral shoulder. Make a box, lift the box overhead. Pause on this first one just to get tall right up through the elbows. You can let the shoulder blades float upward as well. And then kind of like a fountain, you just pew, take it away. And then same arm across, box, up and over, and out. Same arm one more time, pull, box, lift. Now let's alternate. Go back to your first arm and just keep it rhythmic. Go to your second arm and keep it rhythmic. That's 2. Let's go again. We'll do 3 on each side just like this. So this will be the final one in this fashion. One more time. Now take the first arm on top again and just keep your arms straight. So again, whatever leg is on top, that arm is on top, and then eagle arms. And breathe. Into your eagle arms. Press your elbows and forearms a bit forward in space so that you can separate your shoulder blades. As you separate your shoulder blades and open your upper back, drop your shoulders away from your ears. One more nice big breath here. Release your arms out. Release whatever you're sitting on so you can sit on the ground. And then swing your legs out front of you, still the same pattern, but cross ankle on top of ankle, balancing seated. So you're in a V-sit position like boat pose. And then reach your arms forward with those crossed ankles. And breathe. And make a mental note which leg is on top for you. It should be the leg that we were circling and swinging. So not the support leg, but the leg that was mobile in our previous series. Good. Take another breath. All right. And then keeping the cross, just hug your knees in, drop your feet down. Your feet may or may not touch the ground. We're attempting to balance in this moment, but it's not super important. Really, we're just preparing for the next piece. So the next piece is this. We're going to flex the feet quite strongly. And so let's actually take a moment to identify that. Mental note of what leg is on top. Please don't forget that. But uncross for a moment, hold behind your thighs, and lift your legs back to 90 degrees. Continue to hold on unless you really want the extra credit for today, in which case you can let go. But we're just going to work with the feet and ankles, okay? So flex, pulling your toes towards your shin bones, and that's like the toe sit. And then point, and that's like child's pose, yeah? So as you pull your toes back, that's a toe action, but it's also an ankle action. And then point, again, that's a toe action and an ankle action combined. Good. One more time to flex. Keep the flexion. Keep that. Cross the identified leg on top and then pull in. Keep flexing your ankles this whole time. So that foot flexion is going to give you a razor edge, outside razor edge to your foot. And what we're going to do, keeping the ankles crossed, is land the feet down, reach your arms forward, and attempt to stand up from this crossed position. And what you might do is up, down a few times, pushing into the edges of your feet, but then eventually you get enough momentum and whoop, you stand on up. And then you can shake it out a little bit. We're going to do the same thing to go down. So from standing, cross the same leg in front, reach forward, sit your hips back so it's like squatting, let your knees come apart as soon as they need to, and then whoop, you sit and lift your feet up.
Okay, so now to give you just a little bit more oomph, a little more help, assistance with momentum, extend your legs with the ankles crossed, and then very strongly pull and squeeze your heels towards your bum. Flex your ankles, push your feet, reach forward and stand. Okay, and then in reverse, reach forward, sit back, take your time, and boop, down you come. Extend, and then pull, and whoop, come on up. So it doesn't have to be clean and pretty, but let's do about 5 more, just on your own, down and up. That crossed ankle sit to stand. And I'm going to add that little boat in there so that I have a nice bit of momentum. You might find when we get to the second side that that's a better side for you. You never know. Usually one side works a little better, as with most things. Whoop. And if you stumble, that's normal, especially if you've really not tried this much before. Okay, you've got 2 more. Hoo-hoo. One more time to try that. Awesome. Next time you're standing, unravel, release, and let's just shake, get nice and loose. Shake out the legs, shake out the feet. Stand on one side. Again, doesn't matter which because we'll do both. Stand on one side and really get loose in the foot and ankle so that you can feel the bones gliding around, passing one another. It's really, really, really loose in there. Okay, and then side 2, make sure you've got balance and stability. You bend your knee just enough to get clearance. You don't have to lift the foot high from the ground at all. It's really just about shaking and getting loose in the foot bones and the ankle bones. Shake, 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 and release. Stand with your feet underneath your hips. Stand tall through your spine. Take a moment to corral your breath. Let your heart rate settle. Turn your palms forward. We will, of course, be doing all of this on side 2. But before we do, taking a few half sun salutes. So you've got your feet under your hips, your palms are forward in mountain pose. And then take your arms out to the side, squeeze your glutes as you rise through your arms. And then as you breathe out, a nice big dive. So karate chop your hips back in space, hinging with an extended spine. Take your hands onto your shins, lengthen here, breathe in. And then fold, again, little tuck of your chin. Rising here, arms reach up overhead. Mountain, arms by your side. Let's do 2 more. Inhale, reach, rise. And exhale, dive, hinging at the hip joints. And fold. Hands onto your shins, little lift. Fold again, and exhale. Rising and reaching. So no rush here. Mountain, return. Once more, breathe in, rise up. Breathe out, hinge, and fold. Length on your in-breath. Fold on your out-breath. And then rise one more time. This time pause with your arms up over your head. And as you make again a box of your arms, hold on to opposite elbows and reach up. We did this seated, so feels familiar. Reach up through the sides of your waist, the sides of your ribs. You can let your shoulder blades float so you really get a maximum uprising through the entirety of your body, especially of your trunk body. One more breath like that. And now the arm that's on top, you can only really straighten one of them here easily. So whatever that one is, go ahead and straighten that one. And then that's the side of your body we want to open in side bend. So take a breath in, grow really long and tall, favor that top arm, and then keep going as you breathe out into side bend. And your bent arm actually provides nice little resting place for your head. So you can let your head rest there like a little pillow. You can press your hips a bit in opposition as you come into that side bend. And take another breath. Rising up, pause, vertical. And then change the arms. So now other arm is straight, opposite arm is bent. And you can actually use the hand that's holding on to the upper arm to help lift you more. So keep rising up, keep reaching up. Go a little bit more into the upward vertical rising, inhale. And then exhale, side bend. Let your head find your bicep when the time comes. Let your head rest. The hips can shift a little, but you don't need to exaggerate that. Mostly you can think about keeping your weight centered over your 2 feet. And you can use the top hand to help pull and pull a little bit more, of course, gently with your own advisable amount of force. Like that's entirely up to you. You are in charge of lengthening yourself for one more breath. Good, rise up, pause, cup the other elbow, and then lift the whole box of the arms upward. And just get taller. You might even wiggle into it a little bit. Taller, taller, bigger, bigger. Nice, huge inhale. Good, and then circling the arms down all the way by your side. Pause in your mountain pose. Standing in mountain pose. One more breath to get vertically tall. And then with the palms opened, exhale. Inhale, arms reach up. Exhale, hinging, forward fold. Hands to your shins, lengthen, breathe in. One time again, fold and exhale. And then as you re-lengthen, set your hands a little forward so that you can walk one knee back and then the other knee back and arrive in your tabletop. So we're back on all fours to do this leg series part 2. So before we come into leg series, let's do just one more version of cats and cows. Flip your hands around face backwards. So you have your palms down as per usual, but your fingers are facing the opposite direction. So instead of north, they face south. Okay. Take an inhale here. And as you exhale, come into the shape of cat, fully tucking chin, rounding spine, and scooping tailbone. And then as you inhale, come into the shape of cow, where you extend your entire spine from chin to tail. Exhale, rounding. Inhale, arching, and continue on your own about 1 minute here. So just set your own personal pace based on your breathing rhythm today. As we all know, breath is super unique and individual, so we don't need to stay together. We can just do a few more of these for time and enjoy the opening of the wrists and the forearms, the mobilization of the spine, and the regulation of our breath. Good. So at your own pace there, do one more. And then we'll release the hands to sit back into child pose. And this time, as you sit back into child pose, your arms can be outstretched, but instead of palms down, curl your fingers into a ball so you make fists of your hands, and then roll out your wrists. And just keep continuously rolling your fists in one direction, feeling for a little bit of release after that big stretch, and then roll the opposite way, other direction. Good. And then do in child pose, palms face up. So you've got backs of hands down, palms face up. And here with your hands staying in this orientation, so we're going to keep the backs of the hands down, curl your fingers into balls, and then just nod your fists towards you, and then release and open the palms and the fingers. And do a few of those. So you just curl, squeeze, open, release, curl, squeeze, open, release. So check in that you are indeed doing this with your fingers and your wrists, not just your fingers, but you are actually curling and uncurling your wrist joints, because that's actually where we want our focus here. One more time. Awesome. Okay. Come up out of your child pose into table, all fours. Reset. And we're going to be starting on the other leg, opposite side, for our dynamic hip series. Starting with the circles. Here we go. So circle one direction for 7, extending back and bending into the circle. 2, or bending as you circle around, I should say. 3, but extending back each time. 4, 5, nice and strong. 6, one more. 7. Now reverse direction for 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2. We got one more. First direction again, reverse direction. 5. So again, we just keep alternating. 4, 3, 2, 1. Reverse direction for 5. 5, 4, 3, nice and big. 2, and 1. And now 3 times. Go 3, 2, keep breathing. 1, it's getting hot in there. One more time. 3, that hip is starting to smoke. 2, one more time. Extend the leg back. We have one more drill to do. Bend your knee, tap same elbow, then other elbow, same elbow, and extend. That's 1. Go again. Same, and then cross tap. 2, third tap, and extend. So it's 3 taps, same side, other side, same side, extend. Nice and quick now. Same, other, same, 4, same, other, same, 5, tap, 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 6, go, 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 7, use your abdominals, that's the name of the game, 8, and your hip flexors, obviously, 9, one more. Extend your leg on 10. And now for your crisscross, bring that leg forward, around, wrap, and walk your knees back. We'll do puppy variation. Walk your hands forward, hips high. So you can take your feet a little bit wider in this variation on cow face pose. I often call it, especially for my beginners, twist tie. Let the center of your chest lead the way if possible, but if your head hits first, of course, that's fine, and you can allow for that. So let your forehead rest if that's what's occurring. But we are attempting to get a nice little indent, if we can, in the upper back. So pressing the shoulder blades onto the back body to help pop the chest, open the armpits. I know sometimes it's strange to think about stretching or opening, extending, expanding the armpit, but the armpit itself is comprised of several muscles. It's sort of like origami, muscular origami that has resulted in a fold, which is the pocket that we call the armpit. But on all sides, there are muscles that create that pocket that shape the armpit. And so when we stretch and open, extend, expand, quote unquote, the armpit, we are targeting specific muscles. Good. Let's rise up. Come back into table. And as you release the leg, we have one more drill to do. So as you release the leg, take it straight back behind you and then swing it out to the side. Don't put it down, but swing it out and then take it back and tuck it under you for 1. Let's go again. Extend, swing, extend, and tuck. 2. So getting a side crunch on this one. 3, as well as other things. 4, mobility and stability in both hips, and some side body core work. 5, you might remember 6, that we're going to 10 on this one. 7, try to keep the elbows locked straight. 8, 9, we have one more, and 10. Now cross in front again. You are, of course, on the same side for Gomukhasana as you were a moment ago for the puppy version of Gomukhasana, but you should be on the other leg from when we did this before. Okay, so block, pillows, blanket, whatever you might be using, you can sit that under your hips. Or you sit on the floor, of course, if that's available to you. Again, good on you. Enjoy. Please do it for the rest of us that are not able. Right. So sit nice and tall for a couple moments and just let the legs like acclimate to this deep fold. We're going to be working with our shoulders again, shoulders and upper back. So the leg that's on top, with that same arm, the coordinating arm, pull across. Or I should be more clear, the coordinating arm is the straight arm that is getting dragged, that's getting pulled across. Yeah, but I think you feel me. I think you know what we're doing. All right, let's cup the elbows and lift it up. Pause on the first one. Ooh, just get big, get tall. Gentle little pull, pull, pull. Remember, you're always in charge of your own pull. Good, and then arms go out to the side. Same side, a little faster. Pull across, and then shape the box. Lift the box, and fly away. One more time that side, same side. Pull, box, lift, fly away. Okay, now other side, pause. Take a couple moments here. Really, this is just a nice distraction so you stay a little longer in the hip opener. So you're welcome. Cup your elbows, lift. That's not totally true. This stuff is really, really, really nice. In my shoulders, I do this kind of play all the time. So I'm being a bit facetious. And then fly away. Same side, little faster. Draw across, box it up and around. One more time. Same pace there. Draw across, box it up. Now alternate sides. So you go back to the first side, but we'll stay with the quick pace. Other side. Let's do each side 2 times more. Make it as big as you'd like. Make it as zippy as you'd like. Right? It's all yours. Just enjoy moving and mobilizing the body. I think we should do one more. This might be one to grow on. But again, that's fine. It's all good. Okay, as you fly away that time, pause, take just one more moment, find stillness. The leg that's on top, please take that arm on top, Gomukhasana. So, or I should say Garudasana with the arms, excuse me. It's a hybrid pose, right? So we've got the lower body in cow face, which is Gomukhasana, but the arms in the full expression of that pose are different than this. So we have eagle, Garudasana, in the arms, which is usually a standing balance. And so we've combined a seated pose and a standing pose, wrapping the legs, wrapping the arms very similarly, mirror image here. 3 more breaths. Good. Go ahead, release your arms. Give that a little shake out if you need to. So giving that a little shake out and then removing whatever you're sitting on, if you are indeed sitting upon something. And as you lean back, we're going to keep the cross of the same leg on top, but come into your balanced seat. So you come into your V-sit like your boat pose. Take a few moments here. So last time we did a little bit of play with the feet, with flexion and extension. We're going to skip over that part this time. Just that was a nice little lesson of the day for our ankles and our feet. But we're just going to go right into the standing transition. We're going to try this as a get up. So as you flex into your ankles, pull your heels towards you. And then again, because we didn't start with straight legs, notice how difficult this is. Reach your arms forward, stamp the outer edges of your feet down, try to rock forward and stand up. And again, if you stumble and fumble, that's perfectly normal. It's all just a big fun movement experiment. So don't sweat it. Sit back on down. Now let's go for the boat. So you extend and then pull, reach, rock, and rise. Good. And again, I'm going to give you just a little bit of time on your own to go up and down. We don't have to give it too much explanation this time because we've done it. We've done it already. You know what you're doing. Definitely using the arms here, super helpful to help offset your hips. And again, if you are anything like me and like many good people in this world, you're a little imbalanced, especially in your hips, but maybe your spine, your ankles as well. And so one side might work really, really well for your body and one side might be super glitchy. Again, that's pretty common. Good, just a few more moments. Try a few more of them. Again, especially if it's a new pattern for you, it takes some repetition to get a feel for it. It's kind of like learning to ride a bike or learning to juggle or jump rope or anything like that, any movement skill. Like it takes your nervous system a while to map it. And so you have to go through the repetitions enough times. You have to be patient with the process so that eventually you can own it. Good. Try one more. And then come up, stand, unravel, give that a nice little shake out. All right, so you might like your block out front of you. If your forward folds are a little limited, that can be really nice here. What we're going to do is take our left leg and foot in front of the right goes behind, right? And you can have any distance you like between your feet, although I would recommend start pretty close and then see how it goes, see how it plays out for you. Do that karate chop of your hips back, and you can take the block underneath your hands. Okay? So we're in a forward fold with crisscross legs. And really, if you look at your legs, you'll see that the cross is at the knees, right? Mostly it's at the knees. Take the feet any distance apart that you like. Again, whatever works for you today in your body. Keep kicking your hips a little bit back in space so you're still trying to hinge at your hips as you would in any forward bend. And if the block is unnecessary, of course, you can have your hands on the floor or the ground. You may also, if it works out logistically for you, you could rest your elbows. Again, we're all put together so differently. These are all just options. So the front knee is definitely bent. And I would not encourage you to push that front leg backwards because the knees are crossed. And so that might add undue pressure to the back knee, and it's just not useful here. So the back leg super straight is good, but we don't need to push it like past straight. So let your front leg be a bit bent. It provides some gentle pressure, but the knee is bent. And the back leg is the straight leg. Let your head just relax and hang. Enjoy a couple moments here. Making a note of which leg is in front. So I had cued the left leg, but if it happens to be your right leg that's in front, just make a note because, of course, we are going to do the other side in a moment. Okay, one more breath here. And then step yourself back so you can unravel by taking your back leg back first. Hands are planted and come into downward facing dog. Right, so we have not seen down dog yet here in our practice today. Give yourself a few moments to lengthen everything. So extend your arms. Let your arms help your spine to lengthen. Extend your legs. Let your tailbone going up and your heels going down help to extend your legs by drawing length in opposite directions. Head just hangs. One more breath. So the leg that was your behind leg, the back leg, for me, it's my right. Bring that forward into pigeon stretch. Walk your back leg, left leg, for me, backwards. And take a few moments upright. So you can be on your fingertips, you can be on your knuckles, you could be on your block, right? Just give yourself a few moments more vertical, more uplifted in your upper body. It's a very different effect than to be folded. It's nice to practice both. Let's experiment just a little bit with some side reaching. We'll start in this more elevated position. Walk your hands to the left. This may be plenty, so you're very welcome to stay as you are. But if it's inviting, you're curious, you'd like to try, you can go. I'm coordinating here with my front pigeon leg. Take that same arm, for me it's my right arm, and reach it high diagonal. And then the opposite arm, which you probably cannot see right now on the camera, but you'll see when I flip around for side two. I'm going to come onto those fingertips or those knuckles. I'm going to go high there with the lift, and I'm going to lift the bent elbow in the air so it makes sort of a window. And as I keep reaching and lowering my right armpit, my right chest, extending out through the arm, I'm keeping the left side a little bit lifted. Couple more breaths. Depending on the state and status of that front leg and that reaching arm, those joints, you might feel all kinds of things right now. Or it may just feel nice. It's just making space. That's fabulous. So it might be big stretch, but it doesn't have to be. It's not always about big stretch. Okay, so undo that, come center, pause center, breathe. And then left forearm. So this is not coordinated with the front leg. This is the side that coordinates with your back leg. Bring that elbow to center. And if the ground is too distant, use the block. I actually quite like the block for this one, but it works both ways. And then take the hand that does coordinate with the front leg onto the leg. And if it doesn't work well in your anatomy to push, then don't do it. If you like to push on the thigh, lift your chest, twist. But if that's not good for you, put your hand on the ground and twist. Okay. For me, I like the thigh pressure. So we did a side bend, one direction. Now we're doing a twist in the opposite direction. All of which is in the interest of delighting that front hip. Delighting. Okay, to center, your choice. You can fold to your elbows on the block. You can fold to your elbows on the ground. You can walk your arms forward as if you're doing child pose. Take just a few breaths here to be in the shape and enjoy. One more breath in your pigeon stretch. And then rising up. So I'd like to give you the option to go to child pose from here or to downward facing dog, whatever speaks to your system right now. So if you are inclined to bend your legs, then you go child pose. If you're inclined to extend your legs, then you go down dog. Just choose your pose. Take a couple moments to breathe. The two sides might feel a little awkwardly disparate. There's definitely a difference in those two sides from the work that we've done, but we are going to we're going to catch that second side up right now. Take one more breath and then walk your feet forward towards your hands. Let's take the feet to about shoulder distance or even a little wider and squat down. Remember this from so long ago. So your malasana squat, like a wide squat. You can let your feet turn out if that's good for you. Bring your elbows inside your knees, have your hands connected in some form or fashion, and then guide your elbows and knees wide. Just a moment here, settling into the hips. One more inhale. You can use your exhale to flip your hips up, reset your feet as you need, and forward fold. Good. Place your hands onto your hips. And with your lower body strength, rise to stand. Again, as you come up, shake it out. Shake, shake, shake. Just getting a nice little shake out there. And then we'll come back to stand, mountain pose. In this mountain, you can have your feet apart. And just take a moment to come into stillness, even close your eyes. Monitor your breath. Centering again. Okay, eyes open, and here we go. So crossing now your right leg in front of your left, unless you did the other side. And then please do, whatever is your other. But we are doing the crisscross of the legs, hands on hips, nice and tall. Feels super awkward, I know. Breathe in. And then as you exhale, karate chop the hips back. So you go with as much spinal extension as you can. There's not a great deal of spine extension, pelvic tilt for most of us here, but you get the most of it you possibly can. And forward fold. So I usually call this crisscross uttanasana, or the crisscross forward fold. You could have your block for your hands or for your elbows. You can also have your hands on the ground. And then take a few moments, as we did on side one, right, just to adjust the distance of your feet so that it feels interesting, it feels productive and constructive for your body. Once you found a good spot to be in, you can relax your head and your neck. Let your head and neck just hang. The more you can inside the structure of your pelvis, tilt forward, tailbone up, as you would in cow pose, the better, right? Because any tucking under, any flexion of your, or any more than is happening currently, flexion of your lower back and any more tuck of your pelvis uh, is detracting, detracting from the line of tension that we're attempting to explore. So instead of shying away from that, attempt to go into that really deep outer hip and low back release. So you can shift your weight a little foot to foot. Notice if you're veering off course because it's uncomfortable to stretch. And, with compassion and sensitivity and wisdom, go to a point where it feels like an intelligent stretch. Take one more breath. And then, as we did for side one, hands are going to come to the ground. And as you move to downward dog, take the behind leg, the back leg back first, and then you can just easily step into it. So you find downward dog, breathe a few breaths, letting the body open. And then again, whatever leg was the behind leg, for me, it was my left. Bring that forward into your pigeon pose. I usually call this one pigeon stretch because pigeon proper, like actual pigeon pose, is a big time back bend, and there's a whole spine and shoulder component that we are not interested in doing today. So, or perhaps you are interested. I should speak for myself. But we're not doing it together in this sequence today. So I usually distinguish between those two. Here, where we're working with the lower body, I usually call it pigeon stretch, not so much pigeon pose, because pigeon pose is a lot more complex than what we're doing here. So we start more upright on the fingers or on the knuckles. I often do the knuckles. And you just take a few moments feeling the length on the abdomen. So again, the front body here, almost in a cow configuration, that we open up the space between the sternum and the pubic bone, between the sternum and the throat, just opening those spaces. We're going to be working into side bending. With your back foot, you could keep the toes curled, or you could point the foot this whole time. Either one could be done this whole time. Or you can mix and match. I often mix and match. So whatever you'd like, the back foot is yours to experiment with. Let's start to walk on the right diagonal, or again, whatever is opposite of your front leg. I've got my left leg in front, so I'm going to walk to my right. Okay. So you could just walk over a little bit on the diagonal, enjoy, and be here. But if you are interested in that next stage of it, this is how it goes. So the arm that coordinates with the leg, so it's my left leg forward, I'm going to reach my left arm high diagonal. And then my opposite hand is going to back up. I'm going to be on knuckles or fingertips, elbow high. And there's a little quality of twist. There's a little bit of rotation as well as side reach. And you just let your head go wherever your head wants to go. Whatever's natural and organic is totally fine. Just another moment here, because of course we are going to go the other direction with a twist as well. Good, so make your way out of side bend, come to center, and here we'll have the right elbow or forearm down, and that could be on a block or on the ground, whatever is better for you. And then we're taking, again, the hand that coordinates with the leg. So my left leg is forward, my left hand is going to push on my left thigh. I also press down into my front arm, the support forearm, to lift my underside chest and ribs. I want to keep, and waistline. I want to keep lifting that underside up. And that's an action that comes from the shoulder blade region in the upper back. So I'm pushing my arm to create that space to twist and turn and look to the left. And again, this isn't so much about the twist. We're using a little quality of twist to get a really big hip opening, big hip experience here. So the twist is in the interest of the hip, not the other way around, at least not today. All right, and then come center and fold. You can fold, again, in any manner that suits you. And we'll just take a few deep breaths to linger here. Intentionally slowing down the rate of breath. And take a final 2 breaths or so here on your own. As you walk your hands in and you rise up, decide if you would like to go to child pose or downward dog, and then simply make your way there. If you chose downward dog, take one more breath. And then ever so lightly with your strength, lower your knees and join us in child pose. We'll all come to child pose for a breath. Acknowledging that this was our starting pose. This was our very first posture in practice today. So we come here full cycle, full circle. So make a transition now onto your back. As you lie down, hug your knees to your chest. And still the two bent knees together for just a moment. Release your feet to the floor so that you can pick your pelvis up. Do a side step to the right, just an inch or two, and then hug your knees back to your chest and let them roll. They'll naturally do that because of how you set your pelvis. Let your knees roll to the left and take your right arm to the right. Super duper simple spinal twist. One more breath. We're keeping this one quite brief today, just a super easy little equalizer. Come back up center. And again, as you put your feet down, do a little side swing of your hips to the left so you can be on the outer right hip as you roll your knees to stack to the right and take your left arm to the left. Simply looking to neutralize the two sides of your spine, the two sides of the rib cage, your two lungs, so that we can rest really, really well in our Shavasana. Release that. Set yourself up on your back. Extend your arms and legs out. Close your eyes. Taking this time to integrate the effects of your movement practice today. If you have the space in your day to linger here longer, please do so. Stay as long as you're able and stay as long as you'd like. Just absorbing all that movement nutrition from your practice. But if this is the time that you have to give and you're needed elsewhere, then make your transition very mindfully out of stillness up into a comfortable seat. And I will leave you here. Thank you so much for being with me and enjoying some embodiment time on this beautiful day. I hope so much that it brings some vibrancy and vitality into the rest of your day. I will see you next time. Thank you so much. Namaste.